Well, thanks for joining us. I'm going to spend just a few minutes today talking about brush-ups in advisor charts. Each of the advisor charts comes with standard brush-ups. So in the scatter plot on the left, which is proposals, each glyph here is a proposal. It's ranged left to right by age and vertically by what stage. So if I mouse over this one up here, the default format for a scatter plot is just to show the axis value. So it's bringing up 23, which means it's been 23 months. And the stage level is stage 5, which is pending close. We'll see in a minute. These are all editable, but that's default. You set the chart up, that's what you get. The bar chart, similarly, has a standard brush up. And it brings up the label of the axis, the top line, A, 0 to 90 days. So it tells you what the bar is. It gives you the total count in the bar, which is 62 items, which is 5.1% of all of the population, all of the bars. And it shows you the amount that's selected, which in this case is 62 items. It's 100% of that bar. They interact with each other, so if I go to the scatter plot and grab everything in qualification, the bar chart will change. So the statistic in the brush up now shows it's the same label, 0 to 90 days. It's the same total in the included population, 62. But now I've got 48 selected out of that, or 77.4% of the total 0 to 90 days are the stage 1 qualification. And that's helpful because the bar chart actually could be sorted by the selected measure. Just try this for a second. Go down here. There's a little arrow. Gives me some properties. If I set display order to % selected, now rank orders them by the % of the stage 1. It actually ranks orders the same way as the age bin. So this is the highest with the lower row here. 77% of 0 to 90 days are in stage 1. Looks like 46.9% or 69 out of 147 of 91 to 180 days are in stage 1, which is my selected population. Looks like this one's dropped to 40.6% or 142 out of 350. And this one has dropped to 20.3% or 102 out of 503. So I've selected, the stage 1 qualification. And I'm seeing in the age bins how that population layers in. I can arrange the chart that way, but the brush-ups gives me the needed statistics that I want. Let's bring everything back. Now, the brush-up on the scatter plot, just to show the axis labels, is marginally useful. Let's take a look at the properties behind this. The tab at the bottom gives me sheets, property sheets, and I can set the chart configuration, display property explorer. So this shows me what is driving what's labeling those glyphs. And what the focus format string is in this property explorer, where that's set. What's telling me is that the first item is labeled by the axis value. So it's a % axis value, and then the second one is the axis 1 value. So this is what's giving me. There's no labels, just giving me the 2 numbers or the 2 values out of the field in the data. So look at what I might want a lot better in here. Let's get out of this. And I might want to go to the page before where I've done some editing already. So it's the same chart, but here the brush up provides a lot more useful information. It's telling you not just the axis labels, but it's telling you who the prospect is. This is John Watt. Who owns this prospect? Gretchen Mayer. Is there a proposal title? Not for this. What's the ask amount? $5 million. How long has it been the stage? 23 months. So that's all useful information. How do you get it there? Well, again, if I go down here, bring up the Property Explorer, this has a much more complex focus format string. It's telling you to label the first row, prospect colon, and it's picking the first value. This %1 means pick over here at the end, pref name sort. That's the first field. That's what's giving you the value beside prospect. So it's going for each glyph. It's going back to the data table and pulling up the value that's in there, which is the person's name. Then this /n means, give it a carriage return, another line, and then label primary staff name. Then this is telling you pick the value number 2 over here, which the second value is primary staff. So it's going into the primary staff field in the data, pulling up the staff name, and sticking that in the brush up. Let's take a look at one again. So that it's putting the name in there. Then it gives you another carriage return, the proposal title. it's going over here to the name of the proposal. Then it's another carriage return, proposal ask amount. It's going to the fourth value over here, which I'm going to slide over a little bit to see that. It's going to the actual ask amount, which is another field in the table. Then it does another carriage return here, and then it puts the label age, parentheses, months, colon, and then field 5, which is the age. So if I was to actually write this, it's a little hard to see it on here. I would typically take something like this out of here, and I'm going to copy it, and I would put it in a Word document. That's where we do a lot of the editing here. So in here, you can just type what you want, put the fields in, edit it, and just copy it to the clipboard out of Word, drop it in Advisor into this focus field here, just drop it as a string, and then it applies to the chart. And then you get these much more useful glyphs, which give you full content from the various fields in the table the chart's applied to versus the standard default, which is literally just the two values, X and Y values. So that's a little complicated. Is there some help? Yes. If I go here to the chart, each of the charts have help context, I can click the little help. And I go to index on the bottom. There's contents, index, and search. I can search, or I can go to content called focus format. If I click that, it gives me a page which tells me everything I can do with the focus format. Basically, talks through what I just went through verbally, describes the different formatting. Then it gives you, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do, from just pulling right from what the chart's set on to doing different calculations as you pull it in and so forth. And then it talks about the faults, and it gives you some aggregate field views and some typical ways you might actually write the focus format string. So last thing I want to show you is we talked about the scatter plot going from simple XY to a much richer and more intuitive layout, so you can identify a lot more closely what is actually going on in the chart. Let's look at the bar chart. So the bar chart standard format, again, it's typically when you set the chart up, you're going to get this. It is, again, it's the first row. Let's see what it's. The first row is pulling just the label. So it's telling you pull the label from category. That's where that comes from. Then a carriage return, and it's telling you to the second one is weight name. So it's going to be total count equals the third thing, the weight, which is one of the fields the chart provides. Then it's giving you this percent parentheses. Fourth value is the percent of the weight with a percentage sign, and then it finishes that with a parentheses carriage return, which is the second line you're seeing here. The third line, it gives you selected equals, that's a string field that sticks in. Then it goes to the fifth one, which is the selected weight, which the chart knows, what the selected weight is, so it gives you that number, which right now is everything. It's 147. So before we can make a selection in another chart, it would reduce. Then the same thing, it's got a parentheses, and then it's got the percent of the selected weight, another parentheses, and then a close. And then, it's pretty much what it's got. Now, this obviously also could be edited, but usually we find, the bar charts are giving you the stats you want. You can bring up other stuff that goes with the bar chart, but it's this charts where we're plotting entities in a grid like this, where you want more definition about what the entity actually is. So that's where this kind of editing really applies. I would apply more in maybe a multiscape. The scatter plot we do a lot of editing in are probably the two charts where we're showing the detail, and you want to know something about the detail. So that's a quick run through for Brushups, and I just would close by saying the help context for this is pretty good. So if you get stuck, that's a good place to go.